Choosing Conscious Creation, Part 2. December 16, 2013. Today I woke up with this message inside saying, transmuting emotion. Since I tried to follow up all higher dimensional inner messages, I grabbed my iPad and translated this message from the Arcturians. Dear ones, since you perceive and communicate with the higher dimensions of reality through the language of emotion, it is important that you gain some mastery over your emotional body. We say emotional body because emotions are perceived with your entire physical form. Often you may not be able to put them into words, but it is immediately evident if your emotions are based on love or fear. Placing your attention. Just as the placement of your attention denotes the communications that you choose to have in your physical world, the attention on your ongoing emotions denotes the communications that you are choosing to have in your higher realities. Emotions are the best indication for your state of consciousness, and you can only communicate with the higher worlds while in a fifth dimensional and beyond consciousness. Since consciousness and perception are interconnected, if your consciousness is calibrated to the physical world, you will communicate and interact only with the physical world. Then, when you sleep, meditate or dream, you have the ability to communicate with the fourth dimensional astral world. There are many subplanes within the fourth dimensional astral world. The fourth dimensional subplane with which you can communicate is again determined by the frequency of your emotion consciousness. Unconditional love is the highest frequency of emotion, yet it is much more than an emotion. Unconditional love is the highest frequency of light. However, all emotion is light because everything is light. In the third dimension, the light is buried deep in the illusion of matter, and in the fourth dimension, light radiates slightly beyond the illusion of matter. Consciousness and emotion. In the fifth dimension and beyond, there is no illusion of matter, and all these higher realities are expressed via light images that correspond to the frequency of light on that dimension. The frequency of light reality that you perceive is determined by your state of consciousness, and your state of consciousness is largely determined by your emotions. The emotion of fear lowers your state of consciousness, whereas the emotion of love expands your consciousness. In this manner, your emotional body greatly determines your state of consciousness. Furthermore, your consciousness and perceptions are intertwined, as you can only perceive the reality to which your consciousness is calibrated. Hence, if you have loving emotions, you perceive the higher frequencies of your physical reality, but when your emotions are fearful, you perceive the underbelly of the physical world. The reality you perceive is the reality with which you communicate. Then, once you communicate with that reality, you become involved and live that reality. Do you understand now how the emotions that you hold direct your attention, your communications, and the actual reality that you experience as your life? Fortunately, when you love what you do, you become increasing creative, which expands your consciousness into the alpha wave consciousness of the higher fourth dimension. Conversely, when you dislike what you do, but keep doing it because you are afraid to change, your consciousness lowers into beta wave consciousness, and you only perceive your physical life. Thus, it is important that you fill your life with whatever feels creative to you, as creativity expands your consciousness and gives you a loving feeling. What you do. Therefore, what you do in your life has a huge influence on your emotions and, thus, on your state of consciousness. More and more, our awakening ones are deciding to take control of their life by making whatever life alterations are necessary to ensure a degree of creativity in their job. They have also been supplementing their life by doing that which they perceive as creative in their time away from work. These choices greatly transmute baseline emotions from the fear-based emotions of, I must, even though I hate doing it, into, I am so happy because I love what I am doing. If you love what you are doing, your consciousness expands into the higher fourth dimension, and you can more easily tap into your innate creativity and higher states of consciousness. Creating a life based on creativity and love expands your consciousness into the fifth dimension, in which you can more easily communicate with your higher expressions of self. This communication will assist you to transmute your fearful emotions into loving emotions. The fifth dimension is the baseline of your multidimensional self, as your 3D physical and fourth dimension astral bodies are logged into the 3D game. When you are communing with yourself, you are connecting with your higher expression of self who chose to log into the 3D video game. As this relationship with your higher expression self grows, you will begin to realize that you are not your physical form. Instead, you will realize that you are wearing your earth vessel. It is then that you will begin to realize that you are not your body. The manner that you can best commune with the multidimensional inner you who is wearing your body is via the language of emotion. This inner you resonates to the fifth dimension and beyond, which is not based on the separation of your physical world. Therefore, these higher worlds do not have separate words put into separate sentences that are said by separate persons. 5D and beyond. The fifth dimension and beyond is based on unity with all life, and is free of time and space. Therefore, when you commune with the higher worlds, you do not hear separate words. Instead of hearing a separate person say hello, you feel the emotional message of love, joy and camaraderie. When your consciousness resonates to the fifth dimension, you can receive the feeling of unconditional love and you will hopefully direct your attention toward the source of that feeling. However, because you are accustomed to only communicating via 3D language, at first you may experience this feeling, but not perceive it as a greeting. In that case, you may ignore this feeling because you are involved in your busy day, or believe that you cannot stop what you are doing and surrender into this feeling. Fortunately, once you habitually respond to these higher dimensional greetings, you begin to realize that there is a message embedded within that feeling. Initially, you can only receive this message while your consciousness is calibrated to your higher dimensional theta wave consciousness. However, as you continue to choose to respond to this multidimensional greeting and calibrate your attention toward that feeling, you will want to remain tuned into that channel in order to receive more of these inner messages. Relationship with yourself. Once you develop a relationship with your higher self, you move into the stage in which you learn and/or remember how to translate these light packages delivered via unconditional love. This translation can only occur when you are attuned to your higher states of consciousness. If your consciousness is calibrated to the fear-based emotions of fear, anger, sorrow, guilt, etc., your consciousness will be too low to receive and/or resonate to these higher dimensional messages. Because third-dimensional life can be very challenging, it is easy to walk around in a state of fear-based emotions and not even notice it. However, if you create the habit of taking a second to check in with your emotional state, you may be surprised how often the habit of fear predominates over the habit of love. Once you remember to recognize when you have fallen into a fear-based emotion, you can transmute your fear-based emotions by sending yourself unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness and unconditional acceptance. Of course, your emotions respond to your thoughts, so fear-based thinking creates fear-based emotions. This habit of fearful thinking traps you in a third-dimensional state of consciousness, which traps you in the third dimension. Making the appropriate changes in your life will not occur while your emotions are spiraling deeper and deeper into fear, anger, victimization and sorrow. Fifth dimensional now. Fortunately, the love-based messages from your higher expressions of self are constantly being sent to you via the now of the fifth dimension and beyond. Therefore, as soon as you can remember to recognize your fear, transmute it into love, and remain entrained with your higher self, your consciousness expands beyond the third-dimensional illusions of time and into the now of the higher worlds. Once your consciousness is calibrated to the now, your attention is focused on the loving feeling from your higher expressions of self, rather than the fearful communications of the physical reality. At first, you may only be seeking the inner comfort of unconditional love. However, as you continue to look inside for the love you need, and do find it, you will want to fully understand these important messages. Since you realize that these messages are instructions from yourself to ourself, you will want to translate this message in a manner that best suits your mission for this incarnation. Thus, some of you will translate these messages via words, some via pictures, music, movement, gardening or myriad other fashions. You may think that you are just getting more creative, which is true, but you are also translating your inner higher dimensional messages from self. If you remain consistent with this experience, you will begin to develop a deep intimacy with your higher self. It is this intimacy with yourself that will lead you back home to fifth-dimensional Earth. However, you must keep your channel home open by transmuting your fear to love. You can transmute these emotions by calling in the violet fire by saying, "Blaze, blaze, blaze the violet fire," transmuting all shadow into light, light, light. The difficult challenge is to remember to release the unconscious habit of living in drudgery and fear-based emotions so that you can consciously and constantly be aware of your emotions. You are usually aware of your appearance, but your emotions, and the thoughts that have created your appearance are often hidden in the realms of your unconscious mind. Hence, you may complain, "Why don't I see the higher worlds?" while you are totally unaware of the fear-based emotions that are lowering your consciousness. With this lower state of consciousness, the constant loving call from yourself is just below the threshold of your perceptions. If you are focused on the drudgery of the physical world, you will not be calibrated to receive the love and light of the higher worlds. This calibration is done at the level of your daily emotions. You are the creator of your reality, and the frequency of your reality is based on the emotions that you allow to remain in your consciousness. If you spilled coffee on your new, white couch, wouldn't you instantly run to clean it up? However, when you spill fear, worry, doubt, anger or sorrow on your new white light body, how long do you allow these fear-based emotions to remain in your consciousness? Do you leave your dirty dishes lying around the house, or do you clear them and wash them in the kitchen? How often do you leave your fear-based emotions lying around your aura, and how often do you transmute them by taking them into the violet fire? Allow yourself to use these simple explanations for clearing fear. Fear is not just your enemy. Fear is your choice. Listen briefly to fear's message, in case it is a necessary warning. If it is a warning, say thank you, and take care of the issue. If it is not a necessary warning, bask it in the violet fire to transmute it into love. By refusing to live a reality based on fear, you choose to create a reality based on love. The Arcturians. Channeled by Suzanne Lee. SuzanneLeePhD.blogspot.co.uk